handstand is more than a single skill. It's a bundle of many skills. For example, finger gripping strength, shoulder pushing mobility, and the skill of knowing how to fall confidently that combine to make a solid handstand. Yes, one that's away from the wall. In this video, I'm going to show you my top 2 tips for learning the skill of falling. Because it is a skill. And once you master it, or even just start to learn it, your handstand will excel. So, have you ever thought about falling as a skill? What is a skill anyway? A skill is just anything that you have to learn, right? That you train to become better and better at. And if you think about a skill that you've learned, you'll probably agree that to begin with, you learn just one way of doing it, right? Like learning one song on the piano. But then as you get better, you learn more songs. Perhaps you play different styles of music. Maybe you even compose some of your own songs. And that's how you progress your skill of playing the piano. Well, the same goes for falling. First, you just learn how to do it in some way. And it probably won't feel easy either. But then with practice, you can start to control it, play with it, learn different ways of falling. And when you can fall confidently in many different ways, then you can play with different leg shapes, different entries, and places to handstand and find what works for you to enjoy your handstand practice. But let's go back to the start and focus on those 2 simple ways you can begin honing this skill of falling from a handstand. Use the timestamps in the description to jump ahead to a particular topic, or just follow along with me. So first, you've got to change your mentality about falling. I know you want to jump up and get upside down, and here I go talking about the mind. Ugh. But everything begins here in the brain, right? So allow me to blow your mind with this fact. Well, it blew my mind when I first learned it. The things that we do consciously, so voluntarily, the things that we choose to do, only make up about 10% of what your brain's working on, like the output of your brain. Meanwhile, the other 90% or so of your brain's juice is being used on things you're not even aware of. So for example, let's say you reach out your arm to pick something up. That's on purpose, that's voluntary. But what you're not aware of is the huge amount of reflexive, subconscious muscle activation that just happened to ensure you didn't fall over. Without those stability muscles switching on to keep you upright, gravity would just pull you over when the weight of your arm shifts your center of gravity. And that same thing happens on a mental and emotional level. So depending on which study you reference, neuroscientists say that somewhere between 80 to 95% of our brain's energy is being used up on things that we're completely unconscious of. We run on patterns and habits so that we can get through our day, focusing that 10% of conscious brain power on what's most important. And so if you subconsciously are holding on to a belief that you can't possibly fall safely, or a hope that you can get your handstand off the wall without ever falling, or a fear that falling is going to lead to certain disaster, then the 10% of your voluntary brain power that you use to put into learning to fall, it's going to be like David up against Goliath, except chances are this time David won't win. Please trust me on this. I've been teaching handstands all over the world for the last decade, and I can promise you it is the people who say with determination, okay, I'm going to learn how to fall and embrace all the fear and the bruises, yes, that may be ahead of them. Those are the people who get their handstands the fastest. There's a beautiful letting go that can occur here, to allow yourself to let go of fear, let go of perfectionism, let go of trying to control the situation, and replace all of that with trust. Trust that you will be okay. See, this stuff is deep. So how to work on that mentality? One way is through visualization. And I do have a whole workshop on the art of falling on Move with Adell, my membership site. And in it, we do a 2-part visualization together where we work to rewrite the brain's beliefs about falling, to see it as safe and useful and important and even fun. And you can join with a 7-day free trial to check that out. Powerful visualization, though, isn't just about visualizing yourself doing the thing in the most perfect and ideal way. That's useful for sure, but it's also helpful to visualize all the things that could go wrong and imagining yourself and feeling in your body as you do so, and then feeling that despite all of that, you're okay. So visualize yourself falling in the very way that scares the bejesus out of you, and follow that up with visualizing yourself coming out of it just fine, ready to jump up and do it again. This is a skill in itself, so that means it takes time. That means that the first time you visualize yourself falling, if you feel more scared than empowered, that's okay. It's a skill and it will take time and practice to hone it, okay? You feel good about that? Remember, strong mind, strong body. Cool. Let's move on to the second skill we need to learn how to fall. It's to do with the eyes. So look at this recent clip of me genuinely falling as I try this weird handstand shape on a very uneven surface. Look at how I turn my head and look to see where I can put my foot safely down. And here I am trying it again, and I just can't get this shape in this place, and I fall in the same way. As soon as I lose my balance though, my head turns and my eyes look for a safe spot to put my foot down. This did not come automatically. This came with practice. I intentionally built the habit of always looking to see where I can fall as soon as I feel like I've lost my balance. And so now it happens automatically. I don't have to think about it. And you can learn this too. Here's where you can start. All right, so I recommend not doing this on a rocky beach. However, a sandy beach is, in my personal opinion, a great place to learn how to fall. If it's nice, soft sand, obviously. Otherwise, your living room or whatever will do just fine. There's a few ways we can do this. So you can do it just from downward facing dog. If you're happy to do a little bit of a kick, okay? What we're gonna be doing is kind of kicking up and practicing looking where we put our foot. Otherwise though, you can also use a chair. Pretend that this rock is a chair, or crawl your feet up the wall, and then you don't need to kick and you can just practice leaning, okay? So wherever you are though, we start small. It's a skill, and so we're gonna start with what you can manage, right? So putting your hands on the floor and gripping with the fingers and pushing nice and strong through the shoulders so that your brain gets a nice signal that everything's really stable and you can support yourself. Lift one leg up and make sure you haven't lost that pushing action through the shoulders. Then just look over to the right if it's your right leg, to the left if it's your left leg, and put that foot down at where you looked. And practice that a few times. And just like with any skill, it's good to kind of go up the ladder of different steps of progressing that skill one at a time. So kind of doing it until you're like almost bored with it, right? And it happens automatically. So as soon as you start to drop the leg and allow the leg to literally drop, like you're not putting it safely, you're practicing falling. So allow the leg to just drop, but practice looking and seeing where it's gonna land. Then maybe if your foot is on the floor, you're gonna take a little hop and do the same thing. So have your gaze down where it would be in a handstand, so maybe somewhere behind your hands, but then look over, put your foot down as you hop. If you're using a chair or a wall, you're just gonna lean a little bit more. So your gaze, your eyes are very important, right? So your gaze is down between your hands or somewhere just behind them. But then as you start to lower that leg down, drop the leg down, you look at where it's gonna land, okay? Once you get bored at that stage and you're like, this is easy, it's all happening automatically. Remember, this can take time. Maybe you do this for a week or 2 weeks before you then move on to getting more and more vertical. Whoop, I'm falling. Whoop, I'm falling, right? Look at where you're heading in your handstand and then, oh, I'm falling, look at where your foot's gonna go, okay? And eventually you build up to literally falling, where it doesn't happen perfectly gracefully, but you've got that habit built in to look at where you're going to land. This tells your brain, oh, I've got all of this super important information about where I'm going, so it's okay, I'm safe. And you know, next time going into it, that subconscious part of your brain is like, yeah, I know how to fall, so it's okay. And if you're wondering why this is so important, it's because the visual system sits at the top of the neural hierarchy. And what that means is that all of the information that your brain is getting about what's happening in any given moment, from your ears, your skin, your muscles, your nose, the information from your eyes is always going to be taken as the most important. This is why therapists can use something called mirror box therapy to treat phantom limb pain. So this is a condition where, say, one arm has been amputated and the person still experiences excruciating pain in the arm that's gone, which sucks, obviously. The brain is producing that pain because it's threatened. It's like, oh my God, I'm not getting any information from this arm anymore. It's not moving. It doesn't feel anything. Something's not right. So it produces pain as a way to say like, hey, something's gone wrong. Pay attention. And it wants to receive input about movement and sensation. So what the mirrors do is it allows the person to make their brain think that it's seeing with the eyes, the visual system, that an arm is indeed there by using the other arm. Then the person looks at the arm moving and maybe receiving a tickling or a rubbing, different sensations. And because the eyes are telling the brain, okay, I see my arm there now moving and getting tickled, the brain learns that the threat may not actually be so bad. And there are tons of other examples out there of how we can use this fact that the eyes are the most important messenger of everything that's going on to the brain to influence how we move and feel. And I go into the many ways that we can use the visual system to improve our movement and feel better overall in my functional neurology yoga teacher training. So if you're a yoga teacher, I highly encourage you to check that out. There's a link in the description. So let's recap. To learn how to fall, you have to practice falling. It's a skill. Bring a positive mindset into it, visualizing yourself feeling empowered after you fall, and break the habit of associating falling with danger. And bring your eyes into it. Train your eyes where to look so that you feel safe. I hope this has been helpful for you. Please let me know in the comments if you have any questions at all, or if you've got a request for a future video from me. And don't forget to subscribe and share this with your friends. See you again soon.